Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we're driving this 1999 Chevrolet Suburban 2500. This is a real big piece of nostalgia for me because these are the cars that were roaming around my neighborhood back in the day, although they weren't all 2500s. This one has a big block 454, so it's 7.4 liter naturally aspirated V8, makes 290 horsepower, 410 pound-feet of torque, and it is designed to tow and haul the stuff, the kids, and just get over any obstacles in its way. This is the last of the GMT 400 series, and then the next couple months actually, because this is a 99 built in August. I think it was in October when they started building the GMT 800 series. So this is really the end of the run of those trucks. And while I'm sure a lot of you know every single in and out, and maybe some of you have put like 1,000,000 miles on GMT 400 series, so you know literally every nut and bolt of these. Today, I really just want to focus on the nostalgic driving experience and the style of this thing, because this is one of my favorite Chevy trucks of all time. I think they're beautiful. They look so rugged. They're a little industrial, and you almost can't believe that this was a sort of soccer mom car back in the day, but it was a certain type of soccer mom, though. There's loads of ground clearance, but you got these running boards down the side, so that way your tiny kids can get into the back so they can get into the second and third rows. And down here, we've got a 265 section tire on a 16-inch wheel with 8 lugs. This is not messing around. All right, first, let's just jump in the barn door in the back because I got to show you how cool this car is. Tons of storage back here. 3-row SUV, this folds down, that folds down. You have so much space. So not only is this great for bringing everybody to soccer practice, but it's also a pretty industrial tool for major Home Depot runs with long slices of plywood and all kinds of fun stuff. And under this cover here, you've got your spare tire. So you're not taking up that space under here. That's your fuel tank. In the rear, oh, by the way, let's just take a look at this remarkable sort of maroon interior, and everything is this color from headliner to floors. It's great. Back here, you've got reasonable space for the rear passengers. You can tell that they wanted this to have that sort of luxury appeal on the interior based on the leather. They've got that sort of excess leather vibe like Rolls-Royce did, and then you've even got cup holders and a little space for some things back here. HVAC controls for your rear passengers. This must have been like, wow, we're really doing it, guys. We've got a luxury truck. And in the back, there's your third row with room for 3. So 3, 6, 7, 8 passengers. That's pretty cool. It's a little bit of a pain, but not impossible to get to the third row. You do have to do a little bit of puzzling here, but that allows you to get access. And then if you remove these headrests, really fold everything down, you've got this nice, vast, flat floor for everything to go in. But your rear passengers get cup holders. I mean, this is actually pretty modern for 99. And this is sort of what shaped what we consider as like the modern SUV that has become so ubiquitous on the road. And if your kids smoke, well, they've got like a little ashtray. Let's get under the hood. Oh, that sound's probably going to bring back some memories for people. On these big springs, this jumps right up, no problems. And there's your Vortec V8. Look at this thing. It's pretty beefy. Let's jump in and take this thing for a ride, because this is actually an experience I have never had before, and I have always wanted to drive one of these. The front seats are very comfortable, and they're quite adjustable. And down here, you even have heated seats that are controlled down here. So you have 2 levels, medium, high, and off. Don't fully understand. That's kind of almost like Starbucks language, where it's like, well, where's the small? Where's the low? There's no low. And then you've got lumbar support, and you can move these seats around. Pretty cool for a truck. And I gotta tell you, this thing even smells good. It's got 61,000 miles on the clock. Let's get her started. Put this up for wind. Up top, you've got a sunglasses holder, this little cubby here, Only folds down that far, I think. It might go further. Maybe you guys know better than me, but I'm not going to push it because I don't want to break any of this. The plastic in here, obviously robust enough to survive all these years, but it does feel like if you were abusive to it, it may not hold up so great. In the center console, tons of space. In fact, look at this. There's a pretty cavernous thing down here. And then for tolls, back in the day, you'd have your coins. You've got a cup holder here and a CD player up front. But what's funny is just all this stuff. It's so 90s. It's so old school. These are all just big, chunky, kind of cheap feeling plastic buttons, but I love them and they make me happy. To shift into gear, it even says apply brake to shift from park, which is a full sentence on the dashboard. That's maybe not so necessary, but we've got a column shifter. Gets us into drive. I'm genuinely struck by the steering in this. I thought it was going to be sloppy. It's tight. It makes sense. I don't feel like I'm chasing it. And I really thought I was going to get into this and think, wow, how did all those like normal suburbanites drive these back in the 90s? And I'm not having that experience at all. I'm actually thinking, oh, I didn't realize how easy this was. Because I looked at it as a behemoth back then. I looked at it as like, wow, that is such an enormous vehicle. How could one possibly have control over such a thing? I'm used to cars or like minivans or whatever. And yet, this is just as easy. This is great. And this big block V8 has loads of low-end torque. It's not begging itself to be wrung out and redlined, but it's perfectly happy just kind of doing its thing at low RPMs. Look at that. This just gets around a corner nicely. It honestly might even feel a little more composed than my Lexus GX 460, which is kind of insane. That is a 2023 model year vehicle. That's pretty cool. Over some of the bumps, they make a bit of noise, but it's not necessarily rattly. It's just you're very aware that you're in a body-on-frame vehicle. Visibility, though, really nice. This is going to be great on the highway because this is also, look how low these doors are compared to me. Like, I have so much glass next to me. I can see everything below me. It feels like the higher the safety standards have become, the almost less visibility you get out of vehicles because they're trying to protect your entire body. So the doors come up way high and all these things in newer vehicles, and it's just a little harder to see. But because you've got these low doors and you're set up so high in the vehicle, you really get a nice top-down view of everything, which is why SUVs were so popular at the time. I'll never forget my mom saying, like, oh, I love it when I'm sat up high and I can see the road, which is so antithetical to a typical car enthusiast who is trying to get as low in the car and as low to the ground as possible. But in traffic, I think the typical average driver felt like they were going to get hit. They felt a little nervous in that situation. And having more visibility sat way up high started to give people a little more confidence in driving. The problem, I guess, because now everything is so big, is that everybody did this. And the more large vehicles that got sold to normal people, because remember, like, a lot of people just drove pickup trucks at the time, sure, but it wasn't everybody, and everybody wasn't driving SUVs. Minivans were maybe like the typical larger vehicle at the time. Now, then more and more of these things start to hit the road. So even if you're in a car and you used to feel safe in a car, it starts to feel lower and lower and less in control because there's more of these out there. So then you got to kind of keep up with the Joneses, and that's where we end up with this entire wave of CUVs and SUVs that just completely consumed the market now. It's weird that driving a sedan just seems like such a choice now. Must be a bulb out or something. That's that typical fast blinker. The only minor lack of visibility is directly behind you because of the double doors meeting in the middle. So there's a little bit of obstruction there, but it's not bad. And you know, you've got giant mirrors on either side to kind of make up for it. Maybe not your high-speed highway cruiser. It's all right. It's still stable and comfortable. Much more than I thought it would be. So I know that this is the 8th generation of the Suburban. The Suburban had been around for a long time, since like the 1930s, I think. But I do think that this era, this late 90s era, this is the phase shift. This is the paradigm shift in what Americans are driving. And that's why I think this era of Suburban is so significant, because I do think this really represents a time of change from cars to SUVs, and where driving essentially a truck, I mean, this is a body-on-frame truck that just happens to be a 3-row SUV, became normalized. So while its existence may not have been abnormal, its adoption was, because it became the everyman's average grocery getter, which was a little excessive compared to what had been in the zeitgeist at the time. Now, in the 70s, everybody drove giant boats of cars with huge gas-guzzling engines. So that wasn't unfamiliar, but to put them up on these types of platforms was. But what I can absolutely report to you right now is that this GMC 400 Series Suburban drives really well, even in 2024. I am enjoying myself. You can see that they kind of had chops. They knew how to make a body-on-frame truck behave nicely for the average consumer. And that's something that you have to be impressed with. So I am going to go take this back to Bond Group a little bit reluctantly, because I'm having a good time. It's not a sports car, but it is enjoyable. And I think it's worth noting that these still hold up today. And if you see anyone driving one today, it's because they're good. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. It just glides. It just glides.